Part 4 to what happens next. The hearing. Other parts down below. So today I received a text from daughter stating that I had to pick her up from DS's apartment for my time. Obviously, this would be against my plan B because it would offer an opportunity for my spouse to come out, so I just stated that I could pick her up at the regular places. Wife refused, thus I did not get to see my daughter today. I have talked and texted her today but didn't get my time. Does this make me the bad guy because I wouldn't budge on my plan B and give in? It's not like this is new because DS has been dropping daughter off at 2 different places for a while now. Daughter usually just texts me when she's there. I sent a message stating that I would not pick up daughter from DS's house and that this place or that place would be acceptable. Who looks bad because of this episode? I know I shouldn't be getting info about wayward wife during Plan B, but I got word that she is having a hard time financially. She talked about daughter having to sacrifice her regular summer program and other things. She's talking about having to get a second job. And the thing about it is none of this has to be this way. I want to call her and reiterate the fact that she has the power to change her situation pretty quickly, but I know she has to realize it on her own. On another note, it about broke my heart a few nights ago when our daughter calls me at 9:30 because she was terrified of the storm that we were experiencing. I wanted to be there to comfort her, but the most I could do was talk for a bit. Something has to give. So yesterday we had provisional modification hearing because wife wanted to change our visitation schedule, actually in my benefit. She wanted to take away my ability to text and email her, even though she texted me a week ago saying if the storm that was passing got too bad, I could take shelter with her and daughter. But she also wanted the judge to implement a gag order that prevented me from telling our daughter and out her infidelity, not knowing that I'd already told. The judge didn't like that I told and asked me why. I just said it is my obligation to tell her the truth about why her family and her world has been torn apart. When my wife heard that I'd told, she made a loud gasp and began crying profusely. I have mixed emotions because I hate, even still, to see my wife cry, but, at the same time, I felt that I did the right thing by telling, and if it hurt her, it should. I really think my wife was crushed. I can't get the picture out of my head, the continuous stream of tears flowing down her face. I don't know if they were tears based on anger or tears based on regret. I can't say that I'm not somewhat hopeful that that will somehow get my wife to open her eyes to what she's doing to our daughter and family. I don't know what will happen now, but time will tell. So, I told our pastor last night about what happened and about my wife's tears. He didn't agree with me telling daughter, but he did say she has to now suffer for what she's done. I called him today and he says he talked to her last night and she said that she had been strongly considering trying to reconcile, but the hurt of me telling our daughter was too much. She also told him that she just wished we had been able to sit down and talk about things. I told him that was nonsense because I've tried so many times to just do that. I tried, but she would always concentrate on my faults. She would always escalate the conversation after my repeated request to be civil. She even had turned down the last request I made for a simple cup of coffee together. I decided a while ago that I'm done trying. If we get divorced, we get divorced. I don't want it, but it may be a reality. If we are to work things out, the ball is in her court. She knows where I stand. She knows I'm willing to take care of my part in the marital breakdown. She knows I still love her. At this point, she's going to have to do something now. So, I talked to Pastor this morning and told him basically that she is trying to play like she's the victim when she isn't. I said the only times she has said this types of statements about comic back were when she was exposed. He agreed that she is not the victim because that distinction belongs to my daughter and me. I told him that it hurt me, because of the love I still have for her, to see her crying. But I also told him I wasn't sorry for telling our daughter. If it hurts, then it should. I've hurt for months. Our daughter will be hurt for life. I told him if she thinks that her relationship with our daughter has changed, then she has the power to change it. She can give up her adulterous ways, return and commit to the family, and in the eyes of our daughter, fix the mistake she made. I also told him that I haven't for a while and I will not contact her. If our marriage is to survive and our family put back together, she's going to have to make the move. I've done all I'm going to do. I wanted to make sure I told him that today because he said he was going to talk to her today. I also told him that if he wanted to really help, that he should feed it to her straight. Since she claims that she is spiritually where she needs to be, he needs to tell her that all the lies and deceit, the adultery, the unbiblical divorce, the anger and lack of forgiveness, the lack of church attendance, and her walking away from her church duties are not signs of a spiritually healthy individual. I told him that those things need to be addressed. Well, after the events of the last few days, today has not been the best. It has been good in the sense that I got to spend time with daughter and I loved hearing her say how much fun she had. I just cannot seem to let go of the hope that my wife will just wake up. It's been 7 months since she filed and there's probably still another month or 2 to go before we get to the final hearing. Heck, the judge even stated that it was odd to see a couple still going through divorce proceedings after this long. In Indiana, minimum is 60 days. Some days, I think that, because neither one of us were really responsible for the delays, that God doesn't seem to want it to happen. Other days, I don't know. Don't get me wrong, I trust that things will work out the way He wants them. The hard part is just waiting. I've gotten to the point, on a number of occasions, where I simply accepted the fact that I would be divorced. Then a delay occurs and the hope for my marriage and family that I thought I'd let go of comes back. I really hate feeling like this. I started back running, trying to get into my playing shape again. What makes it tough is being so lonely once the day is over. I have no family to visit or friends to hang out with, so at the end of the day, it's just me. I read and study the Bible a lot, so that helps. It's just very difficult when you virtually have no support system around. Again, my nearest family is 3 states away. I have no cable because I can't afford it. I no longer have a laptop because either my battery or power cord has died and I can't afford to replace with it right now. I used my laptop for the jazz piano course that I'd purchased and had been working through, and the exercise program that was downloaded onto it. There are no support groups around as I've searched. I don't go to bars. I'm not dating as I believe it's wrong to do so since I'm still married. I can't afford a gym membership. If my wife wakes from the fog and decides to return to marriage, then everything else will take care of itself. If she doesn't, then I will be free to re-enter the world of dating, which will also eliminate much of what I'm dealing with. One way or another, things will work themselves out now. I've never really had many friends. I'm the type of person that doesn't like to do things just because everyone else does. I have a lot of acquaintances but no real friends. I very rarely have anyone call me just to see how I'm doing. But it's okay. There is a guy at my apartment building I somewhat hang out with. It's really not much more than watching games together and stuff. He's known my wife and her family all his life and was best friends with her brother, who is now incarcerated. He's oddly enough in a similar situation, although he and his STBX have been going through separation, divorce for almost 3 years. He has chosen to go a little different route by deciding to get someone else when he discovered his wife's infidelity. I won't do that. He, nor his family, whom I know, are spiritual, and I've talked to him about things such as my not drinking and why I won't date until I'm divorced. I won't force my spiritual beliefs on him, although I allude to what I believe quite often. Other than that, I just find it difficult. I'm friendly with everyone. I speak to all the neighbors. I have had conversations with many of them. As I stated before, I have many acquaintances but not many friends. To me, a friend is someone who has your back and you theirs. They have similar beliefs and morals and enjoy doing many of the same things as you. The people that know I'm a minister don't really want me as their friend because being around me makes them uncomfortable. They don't want to do what they normally do. The drinking, the swearing, the weed smoking, etc. when they're around me, so they choose to keep me at an acquaintance level. I notice their lack of comfort when they're around me too, so it makes me uncomfortable as well. I guess it really boils down to a couple of things. 1. I am not and never have been the type of person who wanted or needed to surround myself with a bunch of people to be happy. I didn't in school. I didn't before I met my wife. I guess I really don't know. Those I hung out with back at the beginning of my marriage were simply due to them being acquaintances of my wife, since I live in the town where she grew up. 2. I won't compromise who I am and what I believe just to make friends. There are tons of things that I like to do, and many people I've come to know because of those things, such as golf, pool, softball, bowling, etc. Most of things I can't do right now due to my financial situation. I don't go to bars anymore. I don't gamble and play poker to the wee hours of the night anymore. Plus, most of the people I've met in those activities are just that, activity partners and not friends. We don't call each other through the week to chat. We called each other if we wanted to play golf, etc. And since I haven't done many of those things for a while, even those types of calls don't come anymore. Again, understand that I am friendly with everyone. I don't consider anyone to be a stranger, but I am just so guarded when it comes to friendships. I have, over the years, had many whom I thought were friends but only turned out to be just someone I knew because when I really needed them, they weren't there. It's experiences like those that taught me a lot about true friends. To me, friend is a term that is used too loosely because everyone you call a friend really isn't. So there have been some very crazy events happen over the weekend. I accidentally caught my wife with OM, not being physical, while my daughter was with me. She ends up filing a row today because she says she felt threatened. I didn't get violent or confrontational. I didn't threaten either of them. I just asked the OM, who my wife initially and adamantly said didn't exist, to leave so I could talk to my wife. He tells me that she's no longer my wife because she has filed for divorce. I wanted to so badly to beat his brains in, but I'm no longer the person I was 10 to 12 years ago, luckily for him. I ended up just leaving with my daughter. I also get news from my wife's cousin saying that her family is tired of our whole ordeal and that they thought I was wrong for exposing my wife. This is the first I've heard about the exposure. She says if I want my wife back, exposing her was the wrong thing to do because it does nothing but make her madder at me and push me farther away. She says I need to stop being hateful and vindictive and more loving and compassionate, and that I should stop trying to make my wife look bad. I simply replied by saying I was sorry they had to find out, but I only told the truth. If she doesn't want to look bad, she has the option to stop what she's doing. I said if she's mad, it's because her dirty little secret is no longer a secret. All I can say is wow. Got a message from another of my wife's relatives today via Facebook, one to whom I had also exposed to. She pretty much said my wife knows right and wrong and that it's not her place to bring anything to her attention or say anything about what she's doing. I've never seen so many people who are afraid to stand for what's right. In my family, if you are messing up, there's not many who won't tell you. Wow, they would rather watch a loved one sink than try to help them up out of the pit. I don't regret the exposure. I don't regret telling the truth. I don't regret any of that. Where is God in my exposure? He's there in the sense that His Word teaches things done in the dark will come to light. He's there in the fact that sin thrives on secrecy. Jesus exposed the Pharisees and all they were doing. I don't regret any of it, and I feel confident that I did the right thing. Right now, I seem to be at the point where I just want to throw in the towel, give her the divorce, give her anything she wants. Let her have my car, let her stick me with financial responsibility of our marital home. Let her just walk away and move on. I've fought hard for my wife, my family, and for the godly ordained institution of marriage. But I've learned in life that, no matter how hard you fight, there are some battles you just can't win. This just may be one of those battles. I will continue to seek God's direction and wait on His prompting as to my next course of action. But if it was up to me and the way I feel right now, I'm done. On another note, I had a long conversation with my wife tonight. It started kind of rocky but calmed down and she actually listened. In the conversation, I basically told her if she wants the divorce, she can have it. I think I'm going to go to the court tomorrow and file a motion. My head tells me to just give her what she wants, don't worry about mediation, and just be done with it. She told me things may have worked out if I hadn't tried to bully her by asking her to stop committing adultery. And if I hadn't had twisted my stories with her family, if I hadn't have told people, I didn't believe a word of it. Understand that I didn't go out and just to anyone and expose. It was to family, a couple of close family friends. And the passage in Matthew is for the purpose of bringing a lost sheep back to the fold. In most cases, public exposure, taking it to the church, is not even needed because most would have repented after either step 1 or 2. If I had to do it again, I would still expose. If she's mad, it's because her family knows what she's doing. I just wish I had nothing to expose. She said I embarrassed her. Her actions did that. She does have the option to stop. If asked, instead of continuing, she could stop. I didn't do anything out of spite or anger. I did it with the hope that enough people would speak against her wrong and simply cause her to stop and really think about what she was doing. I don't want her to hurt. I just would like for her to just turn back to God. I know there is no guarantee that she would come back to me. Turning back to God would suffice because of the danger she keeps putting herself in. Meeting up with guys, and there has been more than one, from a dating website is just dangerous. I really have all but lost hope for my marriage, but I still care enough for her to not want to see any harm done to her. I know I can't control her and nor can anyone else. I know God is in control, but I also know that He uses human vessels to help bring about His plan, much like evangelism. If nobody tells someone about the errors of their ways, no one will ever recognize a need for Christ in their life. In order for that to happen, someone has to know. As far as the divorce goes, she filed quite a long time ago. I was just tempted to go and speed up the process so as to get it over with. I don't think I actually will. I do agree that I shouldn't give up because it may be that God has allowed all the roadblocks in our process for a reason, and I would never know if I threw in the towel. As far as focusing on it, the times that are the hardest are when I go home every night. Those are the roughest. Before Saturday, I don't think I had actually laid eyes on her, excluding our June 2nd court date, in over 2 months. I haven't called her, emailed her, texted her since April. All the correspondence we've had since April has been initiated by her. Said it wasn't planned. It caught me off guard and I overreacted, but it was just so unexpected. I know my situation is not impossible, but at times I can't say I don't wish there hadn't been setbacks during our process. Every time I get to the point of acceptance, such as prior to our initial final hearing in March that wasn't final, and prior to our initial attempt at mediation in May that didn't happen, the setback causes all the emotions that seem to be dormant to return with the thought that maybe God doesn't want us to get a divorce. I guess I do agree with the fact that I've supported most of my arguments with Scripture. It is something I feel I have a decent understanding of, even though I strive to know more. I guess my question is, am I not supposed to govern my every action by what I believe in the most? I don't know what else to do. When you say listen, I think my problem is not that I don't, it's that I've been listening to too many people. Throughout this process, I admit to having made many mistakes, and that is probably my biggest one. I think that from now until there's some resolution, I might just need to stay away from here. I thought this might help me by being able to vent, but I think it's done just the opposite. I would like to see the response to this post, but after today, the next time you will probably hear from me is with the news of a start in the reconciliation or the finalization of the divorce. Well, I guess I've changed my mind. Since the incident with and DS, there has been no more contact. Yesterday was Roe hearing and judge said he would rule today. While wife and judge both basically admitted that I was no physical threat to wife, he did say I disturbed her peace by confronting her with the I simply told him that since April, I'd had no contact with her. No phone calls, no emails, no texts, nothing. The incident was not premeditated nor was I violent. It was just something that truly caught me off guard, and since then there has been no contact. I also added that since she filed for the Roe, she has invited me to a gathering for our daughter. He asked her, based on the ramifications of the Roe, if that's what she really wanted. She said no. She just wanted me to leave her alone, as if I have been pestering her relentlessly. At this point, I'm not sure I care anymore about what happens. I have stood for the truth. My wife has lied and cheated and tried to manipulate and all sorts of things. I know it's common for behavior. Right now, while I'm just worrying about me and trying to get my life in order, I still have the hope that I will have enough love left in my heart for her to help her through the difficult days that lie ahead of her due to her waywardness. She will fall. It may not be next week or next month or next year, but she will fall. She even lied to the judge yesterday. I didn't comment about it but just made the mental note. It's funny because nothing really bothers me much anymore. It doesn't bother me that I've been marked as the villain because I know I've tried to do nothing more than stand for the truth. It doesn't bother me that we may be divorced in another couple of months or so because I will be okay regardless of what happens. It doesn't bother me to have some financial struggles because God has sustained me and He's helping me to slowly get that under control. I've started helping my former baseball coach give hitting lessons in the evenings. It's something I can do to earn extra cash while at the same time do something I really and truly love. That's a win-win situation. It's funny, but I'm not even bothered that someone else is with my wife. She's made that choice and I can't change that. One day she'll come to her senses and realize what she has done. But I take great consolation in the fact that they're not with my wife. He has someone who doesn't even remotely resemble my wife. When the OM came into her life, my wife disappeared. They have no idea what it feels like to be loved by my wife, hasn't ever looked into her eyes and seen her soul, hasn't known the woman who cared about others more than herself. He doesn't know my wife, or has he ever met my wife, just someone who looks like her. Is it possible that that person can return? Yes, she might have some scratches and scars, but it's possible. God will be the only one who can bring her back, though. If He wants me to be there when she returns, I will. If He doesn't, I won't. So, I got the news that the Roe was granted and it states that I can have no contact with her for 2 years. I'm pretty positive that's not what she wanted. She asked that I be ordered to not be able to come to her apartment or her job. I haven't done either in forever, especially not her job because she works 30 minutes away. Only have been there 3 times in 4 years. She just wanted added assurance that I couldn't know who she was with or what she was doing, not realizing that I stopped caring a while ago. Since the hearing last week, she's left 4 or 5 messages and has sent me 4 emails. All have been erases or deleted. I guess I'm in a really dark plan B now. I believe she just wanted to control when and where I could see her and got more than she asked for because since I can't contact her, neither can she contact me. I actually thought I would be bothered by that outcome, but I wasn't. I've really come to grips with the fact that God is in total control and what He allows is what's best for me. I continue to keep myself busy and I actually feel pretty good. The judge signed off on it the day of the hearing. Since I assume we were both notified at approximately same time, I got paperwork yesterday. Her attempts to contact me prior probably wouldn't result in much other than a warning, I would guess. I will hang on to everything I get, though, from now on. Well, without going into great details, things are getting worse every day. I'm not talking about emotionally, but as certain circumstances are concerned. The funny or maybe the comforting thing about it is I'm not really bothered by how bad my current circumstances are. I guess I just realized that no matter how bad things are for me, someone always has it worse. I also am confident, because of my faith, that God is taking these not-so-good experiences and using them to bring about good for me. I don't know when, where or how, but I know it. I read a quote the other day that pretty much has become my motto. It said, "Setbacks pave the way for comebacks." That's an awesome way at looking at things. A brief update. It's important to know that I haven't seen nor spoke to my wife in a couple of months. I stopped to talk to my pastor, best friend today, and he said he tried to come over to my apartment last night twice, but wasn't sure he was at the right place. I wasn't home since I give hitting lessons in the evenings. He said he called my wife to make sure he had the right place, and she started drilling him about what was wrong, was I okay, etc. He informed her it was nothing but that he just needed to get in touch with me for something. He says he got to the office this morning and promptly got a call from wife asking if he found me, if I was okay, etc. He again assured her that it wasn't anything serious and that if it was, since she was still my wife, he would tell her. But since it wasn't, there was nothing to tell. So, she goes on about how she has been worried about me, how she's heard I've been seen begging at a convenience store, not true, how I'm on meds, not true, how I'm about to be homeless, not true, etc. He said he wasn't going to continue to discuss my life with her and ended the conversation. Later today, I get a message from my dad at work to call ASAP. When I did call, he said my wife called him and told him exactly what she'd told my pastor, and I assured him I was fine. Yes, I have my own set of struggles, but I am fine. He also talked to my pastor who told him the same thing. I just find it so odd that a woman who doesn't love me or want to be with me now wants to know so much about what I'm doing and what's going on in my life. Right now, I'm living life the best I can for me and she doesn't need to know anything. I'm doing okay with it being that way. I'm going to keep it that way. Also, we had another failed mediation attempt on Wednesday. My discussion with mediator didn't get past our daughter. I told him I wasn't going to agree to her being custodial parent and that I was going to get a lawyer and fight her for custody. I've narrowed my choices down and I'm now searching for another job to pay for it. My ultimate goal is to try and get full custody of my daughter. Is it realistic to think I can? Maybe or maybe not, but she doesn't deserve to be raised by a mother that has no moral compass, at least not right now. As far as the wife, yeah, I think NC is really getting to her, but oh well. And yes, I do still love her. That won't change, but I know I can't make her change. Only God can do that. What I can do is try to get my daughter in an environment that is best for her. It almost seems crazy when I look back at the beginning and realize that it's still not over yet. The encouraging part is knowing and recognizing how God has kept me throughout all of this and how I've really grown. I look back at all of the small miracles that God has performed for me and I can't help but feel so blessed. I know God does have a plan. Of that, I am sure. I may not know it, but I know He has one that will be revealed in His time. In the meanwhile, I will continue on my path of self-improvement. I will continue to allow God to change me and those things within me that don't belong. There are still many, but I have to remember I'm a work in progress and that He is not through with me yet. I still pray for my wife regularly. It's really all that I can do. The rest is in God's hands. I pray for our daughter's protection from the damaging effects of all that has transpired. I pray that God just accomplish His purpose in us all. It's been a long road with still a stretch to go, but I will make it. Well, today I went to the church where my wife and I had worshipped our entire relationship. She grew up there, since I'd been told she no longer attends. It was great to see those I hadn't seen in months, and it was touching when some almost broke into tears when they saw me. Some actually did. I've missed them so dearly since I've been gone. It was a good experience, but somewhat bittersweet. Many of the members spoke about how they have been praying for me and for that I was grateful. The thing that kept coming to my mind was that no one said they were praying for my wife or my daughter or my family. I know it doesn't mean they may not have been, but it would have been nice to just hear it once. I know some of you may say, just worry about yourself, but at this point, I have a daughter and I still have a wife, even though she's doing what she's doing. I actually even reminded some to whom I've particularly grown close to not to forget about my family. All in all, I enjoyed being there. Well, today is our anniversary and I thought it would be a little harder on me, but it's not so bad. I did get up and wish WW happy anniversary, just not to her personally. Maybe I really have reached true peace. Maybe I still expect something miraculous to happen. Maybe both, but God is in control. So, wife leaves message on my phone asking me to go into my era for $600 so that we can file bankruptcy together due to some financial struggles that have arisen. She says it will be cheaper to do it jointly and that if I don't, the backlash will cause her to move and make some drastic cuts. But more importantly, not doing so will probably force me to move back to Texas. She tells me I need to call her by Monday. I won't, especially since she has a row against me, but doesn't she have some nerve? Wayward are really out of this world. The crazy and often confusing part is I choose to still love her. I work at a school and I seem to be attracted to a caseworker who comes to visit clients there. We've had several conversations, all of which are about her clients since I work with them. Also, I still love my wife and really want to work things out with her, but we've been separated now for 11 months. I'm not looking for another relationship and I haven't dated or anything. I just feel so conflicted because I've actually had thoughts about someone other than my wife. Please pray for me. The thing is, she's married. I don't want to put anyone else through what I've gone through. She and I just really started discussing her clients a couple of weeks ago, and since then she seems to come more frequently. This week, she's been in every day. It wasn't that way before. It all could very well be just something in my head because it's been so long. I don't know. But I do know her being married is not good for me either way, if there is intent from her side or not. Only when she exhibits godly remorse and repents can anything close to reconciliation begin. I know and understand this very well, so I wait. She and I haven't talked in almost 4 months, although she has attempted on a variety of occasions and for a variety of reasons. Right now, I'll just wait. I have been praying and I feel much better, but I also know that these temptations aren't over, so I will be on guard. Thanks all for the encouragement, as I only have one option: keep my eyes on Christ. I can't worry about what God is or isn't doing on my wife's side of the mountain. My side of the mountain is my only concern. I just have to keep climbing. This is really where I struggle right now. I'm not really ready for a new relationship, but it would be nice to simply have coffee or something, have some conversation. It's been almost a year. I just can't help but think how for the last year or so, my wife has been having her fill of whatever. I know that's just my carnal nature, but it is something I've thought about. As far as your statement about agape love, that is something that only comes from God. It is possible for her to feel that way about you, but her relationship with God has to change. I wouldn't totally count it out. At this point, I am trying to just continue to love my wife with that agape love, since it's the only thing I can control. It is a love of the will, meaning it's a choice you have to make. Right now, it's still my choice. So yesterday I went back to our old church for third time in 4 weeks, and WW didn't show, surprise, so there were no issues. I had a good time as usual. Today, I practically did nothing but clean house, and I spent a lot of time working on magic tricks, something I got sort of serious about during all of this, and I was actually okay with it all. There was no sorrow because of the loneliness or anything. I listened to a bunch of music and I was okay. I think I have hit the point where I still would like for my wife to wake up and work on our marriage, but I'm okay with the fact that she may not. I do believe that one day it will happen, but one day may be a long ways off. She is in fantasy world and believes that the grass is greener. She has abandoned me, our church, and it would really seem like God, as well. This pretty much means that she's in God's hands and he'll do what he sees as necessary. I do have a huge choice. I could continue to love her unconditionally, or I could not. I could allow my love for her to be swept into the recesses of my heart to be reopened when the time comes, or I could close it forever. The choice I make is unconditional love as God would have it, and that chapter will never close. If she would repent and desire to return, good. If she doesn't, it'll be okay. God already knows the outcome. Well, on Thursday, my mother-in-law called the pastor asking about what he thought about me coming back to the church. He said there is nothing to think about because her daughter hadn't been in 3 months, and he is as welcome as she is, but she doesn't come. He said she then went on talking about all that I've done, and he stopped her and told her that her daughter is the one who's wrong. Her daughter is the one who has never been honest with him since the beginning of the situation, and that she's probably only telling her bits and pieces of the story also. She's the one that was unfaithful in her marriage. She's the one who is still being unfaithful because she's still married. She's the one who has blamed him for her drinking, but she still drinks. She's the one that blamed him for her lack of church attendance at the beginning, but in the 3 months he was gone, she came maybe twice. He told her that I never have claimed to have been perfect, but that she needs to stop looking at her daughter as the victim. He told her that other members of the church have seen her daughter with another man or men, but she has claimed the separation. Divorce has nothing to do with another man. She talked about my exposure and how I put her business out there, even though it was to only family and a couple of close friends. He told her that he has kept his mouth shut as it related to the ordeal, but he had to speak up when someone was trying to paint me as the bad guy. He told her that even though I was absent for all those months, I still contributed financially to the church. He also brought up the claims of my wife that she couldn't contribute financially the way she wanted to the church because of me, but in my absence, she hasn't attended nor contributed, in addition to stepping down from her position as church secretary. He also told her that if mother-in-law wanted to leave because of my return, then she should do what she thought necessary. She's been there her whole life, but he was never going to tell me that I shouldn't attend. Whether or not that served to be reality check for her or not, it felt good to know that someone spoke up about it all. God still has a plan, and of that I am sure. Right now, I'm so mad I can't even see straight. I was in a parade this evening with the school I work for. I happened to see my wife, my daughter, and the OM as if they were a family. She was just so open about it now. But what makes me mad is her allowing this man into my daughter's life, and she is still married. My daughter is being corrupted even more, and that makes me mad. My comment: I hope OP is learning through these, and soon he will accept the fact the ex is the past, and heeds to focus on the present and the future. Final ending coming tomorrow. Sub and get ready for the final ending.